Alright, what's going on, Dark and Darkers Dungeon Delvers? With the looming wipe, I thought it would be nice to make a how to build economy early in the wipe guide. So thank you all for joining me. We're going to be going over 6 different ways to make a huge amount of money over the course of the wipe. Now the first one is going to be mining. Mining is absolute profit. Cobalt powder, ruby silver powder, gold bars, all of these things are used to make best in slots, from your ruby silver hood that has no move speed penalty and 3 strength, to your cobalt pieces which are fast, light, and full of good stats, and your legendary weapons which are going to need gold bars. Now, each class has its own specialization for what it's good at as far as economy building goes, but amongst your tops for mining is going to be Ranger, Rogue, and Bard. Bard gets regular interaction speed plus 25% on a perk, and Rogue and Ranger start with high movement speed, regular interaction speed from resourcefulness, and dexterity. All of these things combined are going to make these 3 classes incredible for mining. Your other classes are going to be more focused in on something like Goblin Cave farming, solo bossing, or cheesing down in Inferno. You're going to be able to find ore everywhere in the game world, but some of the best modules can be found inside the Goblin Caves, such as Goblin Maze and Goblin Town. Each of these can have about 20 different nodes spawn, and on the normal map, these nodes give typically 2 to 3 ore per interaction. Now, in High Roller, these can give 5 to 6 per interaction. Make sure you have an upgraded pickaxe as well. Green is plus 5% regular interaction speed, and blue is 10%. Some of my characters built up to 160% interaction speed, and that means you can actually mine and open chests twice as fast as other characters, if not higher. This allows for hundreds of gold to be made per map on average. Next up, we're going to be looking at crafting materials. Hunting these crafting materials is really easy, and you can do it on the way to mine as long as you hit specific resources and creatures. I would say it's much easier to sell your raw crafting materials or your raw cobalt ruby silver powder rather than actually crafting, but if you want to dive into it, each vendor does offer best in slot crafting, and crafting these materials and items and then selling them, such as the Demon's Glee, is going to net you multiple keys or thousands of gold in profits compared to selling all the mats individually. It's just going to take time and effort to actually craft them compared to just selling them off. Now I've broken down hunting the crafting materials by map. Goblin Caves has your Skeleton Champion for tokens of honor and golden keys, large spiders for spider silk and jewelry, and your Centipede will have a ton of high tier consumables and jewelry. In High Roller especially, the Centipede can drop 2 purple jewels. Next up, we've got the Ruins. The Ruins has the Skeleton Champion again, dire wolves for your wolf pelts, claws, and fangs, and most importantly, the Golem. The Golem rarely drops Firefly Abdomen, used for Lightbringer, and that's worth thousands of gold. We also have Inferno. This is your place to hunt demon champions and centaurs. You can also get crafting materials from the bosses, but all of these materials are worth 500 to 1,000 gold each, and are used for some of the best items in the game from multiple classes. Next up, I highly recommend delving into the Goblin Caves. It's a really fast map with an absolute ton of loose loot. Both the normal and high roller variants have centipedes for the jewelry drops amongst the other crafting materials, and there's treasure everywhere on the shelves, on the ground. There's a ton of levers that open up into high tier chests, and you can spend the entire map in certain rooms just looting things off of the ground. Now, as far as treasure goes, at the lower rarities, it's easier and better to pick up 1 slot items, and at the higher rarities, you actually do want those 2 to 4 slot items. Your per slot basis is severely affected by other things that you find, such as candy corn and candy canes. The prices of these fluctuate over the course of the wipe depending on what people want and what they're going for, but overall, you can make about 10 gold per for each of these little items. I did some economic tracking over Goblins, Howling Crypts, and High Roller, and I found that in Goblin, I was able to make thousands of gold over the course of about 30 rounds, and that was with only bringing in a couple of gold worth of items. Next up, we have Grinding Inferno. It's much less populated at the start of the wipe, and many of the modules are absolutely soloable, even in gray gear, if you know how to cheese the AI. These drop lots of purples and capes, plus there's high tier golden and lion's head chests everywhere. In particular, we've got this Demon Stairs map. This is the best module in the game, I think, on any map, anywhere. I'm not going to show every module in Inferno, but they all operate on this scale, and there's always a way to outplay the AI. Remember that the hardest thing in this game is always going to be players. So conserving your health pool and trying to get the most treasure and kill the monsters as fast as possible, that way you have more time to either mine or go boss or hunt down the rest of the dungeon. Here you want to pull everything to this Giga Cheese ramp, and I mean everything. I have pulled all 3 centaurs to this ramp before, multiple demon commanders. I wish I could pull the boss over here and cheese the boss from this ramp. This thing goes so hard. Alright, next up we have High Roller. Just like Inferno, earlier in the wipe is safer, so the faster you get to level 15, the more likely you are to get an empty lobby and have free farm on things like the Troll, gold keys, mystical gems, all of that good stuff. Now, if you're just doing 0 to hero or economy runs, you can still net yourself thousands of gold and a ton of purple epic drops. In this lobby right here, I think we end up with 3 different capes, and it's just free farming. People also seem to be a lot nicer earlier in the wipe when they have less things to lose due to betrayals. Right here we get really lucky because this fighter's just been sitting here watching me this whole time, and he decides for whatever reason to help me. Red Lizard gang. And just like that, you can lose your entire set that you farmed hours for in just a matter of seconds. That was a 4-second clip of that man being deleted. Now, like I said, this fighter was really nice. We didn't use VoIP. I was off stream just hanging out, getting some recording done. And we ended up getting 2 blue jewelry from the Centipede. And then this guy was just absolutely stacked. So, I don't know. That fighter looted nothing and then left, and it just allowed us to loot all of this absolute juice. And that's why I like High Roller so much. I feel like it's a whole different vibe in there, and once you get used to it, it's just as easy as normal. You just have to go slower. There's still tons of cheese spots and a lot of loot to be had, and a little studying of the maps go a long way. Down below the video, I've got the link to the maps, so learning your routes and cheese spots on the normal map increases your odds of surviving drastically here in High Roller. Finally, we have bossing. All 3 bosses can be defeated in gray base gear, but it's best to make attempts for clear speed in sets of mixed blues and purples if possible. Practice so you don't have as much to lose, and then work your way up to High Roller. These bosses can drop purples very often, and as you see here, artifacts. This was early in the wipe, and artifacts are worth thousands of gold, up to 100,000 gold, depending on the rolls. Alright, thank you all for watching and tuning in to my economy guide video. This has been 6 ways to make money, and I tell you right now, mining is by far and large the easiest and the most relaxing. Put on some music and send it. I'll see ya for the next one. Please comment, like, and subscribe if any of this helped you, and let me know down below if you want to see any other videos produced. Bye everyone!